My 4.5-inch scale model Showman'S engine in steam in the garden. Friday the 16th of July was a very fine day, a good time I think to play with my traction engine. So it's out of the workshop to get some fresh air and spend time fighting off horseflies. Thinking about it, this is the first run this year, so I haven't run it very much at all. Note to self, maybe it's a good idea to spend less time in the workshop and more time playing with my big toy. This is the belly tank, and I'm filling it up with water, and in no time at all it was full. There is a pipe that goes from the belly tank down to the main bunker tank. And on this pipe there is a tap, so you can isolate the belly tank and use it as a reserve water supply. When I started to fill the bunker tank, which was empty because I emptied both of the tanks last winter, I was surprised to find how quickly the water filled it up. And that's because in the winter when I drained the tanks I left the tap in the open position. And here I'm closing the tap to isolate the belly tank from the rest of the water system. It's time now to light the fire. I'm using charcoal soaked in paraffin, pretty much the same way I would start a railway engine fire. I use quite big lumps of charcoal, but not too big that they won't go through the firehole door. Then I drench the charcoal with paraffin. Please bear in mind for this job, you must not use petrol, methanol or methylated spirit. Paraffin is fine for the job, and I thought I would just add a little bit more for luck. Now begins the tedious part of the job, shoveling all this charcoal soaked in paraffin into the firebox. This is not a very good image, it's the firehole door. I put sufficient charcoal soaked in paraffin in the firebox and then I lit the fire, followed by switching on the electric blower that has sat in the top of the chimney. This boiler is a bit on the big side to say the least, and it takes a long time to raise steam. In this clip, if you look carefully, you can see that the horseflies are starting to gather. I don't know whether they're detecting my carbon dioxide or the carbon dioxide coming out of the chimney. Maybe a bit of both. I seem to be spending a lot of time waving my arms about, in between oiling up the engine. Steam engines of all sizes need quite a lot of attention, and oiling is very important. I've found that when running a steam engine, there's always something that needs to be done. Checking the water level, feeding in more coal, not feeding in coal and water at the same time. There is a definite repetitive sequence when running a coal-fired steam engine. Although not fitted to the full size, these hatches are very useful. I like the way that Showman'S engines look, but unfortunately, owing to the canopy, particularly in a miniature size, oiling up the motion and all of the moving parts is difficult. In this clip, the fire is well lit, as you can see by the smoke coming out of the blower, and now I'm starting to feed coal into the firebox, while simultaneously being attacked by horseflies. Surrounding the village where I live is lots of farmland. You've just seen a tractor go by. There are also lots of horses, with the accompanying problem of horseflies. These are terrible things, and they really are persistent. I went into the house to get my fleecy jacket to cover up my arms. By this stage I'd already been bitten a couple of times on the elbow by some horseflies, so I brought with me a can of fly killer to give myself a fighting chance. While I wasn't sat in the driving seat, I thought I'd take this shot. I'm still looking through the roof and filling things with oil. Thankfully, after about 3/4 of an hour, there was sufficient steam to allow me to turn on the blower valve and remove the electric blower. And after about 10 minutes, even though there was nothing registering on the pressure gauge, there was enough steam to turn the engine over. It was okay in reverse gear, but in forward gear there was a bit of a squeak. This is possibly due to the fact that maybe some rust in the cylinder from last year. There isn't much steam pressure at all, not even enough to blow the whistle. As the oil from the lubricator started to circulate, the squeaking stopped. And in no time at all, it was running quite sweetly. time to put some more coal on, I think. On this Showman's engine it's quite tricky to get to the controls. There's a long wire connected to the firehole door which allows you to open it with your left hand while you shovel coal in with your right hand using the shovel. I'm going to stop talking for a while and turn the sound volume up so you can hear the engine running. The timing of this engine is a bit strange really. It's different in forward and reverse. The timing makes it so it's freer running in forward than it is in reverse. This is the engine at almost full working pressure, which is 110 pounds per square inch. The popping that you can hear is made by the safety valve as it starts to blow off the excess pressure. I like this engine and I bought it because it's simple. I did not want a compound, but there's less to repair if you only have one cylinder. It's worth remembering that Showman's engines were built from any kind of traction engine. It seemed to be much later when companies like Fowler started making road locomotives, when the Showman's engine evolved into something much different. A few weird viewers have made nasty comments about this engine, but I'm really not bothered. I like it the way it is, that's why I bought it. It has a copper boiler, by the way. I don't intend to rally this engine because I don't have a trailer, I don't have a towing hitch on my car, and because I make one new video almost every day on the subject of model steam, I really don't have the time. Unless I drink lots of black coffee and take drugs to keep me awake through the night. I'll probably take it and run it at the Village Fete, which is just up the road. But that largely depends on the progress of the pandemic. I had a problem with the water feed today from the crankshaft driven pump, and I thought, well, what's going on here? Then I remembered, oh yes, I haven't run it for almost a year. So I just tapped the top of it with my spanner, which freed the stuck ball valve, and it started working okay. Another reason to carry a heavy adjustable spanner. What I'm doing at the moment is messing about with the injector. I have had injector problems with this engine since I bought it. I repiped it and I bought a new injector, but all to no avail. It will inject, but it won't inject if the pressure goes above 50 or 60 pounds per square inch. And even then, the adjustment of the amount of steam and water is critical. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a short break to annihilate some more horseflies with this insecticide. I ran the engine for about 3 hours, and here I'm blowing down the boiler after the run. You never blow down the boiler from a high pressure. I generally wait until there's about 30 or 40 pounds per square inch of steam in the boiler. I then blow it down, and you will notice that I've removed the fire. The thing on the floor at the side is the ash pan. This is a big boiler and it takes an extraordinarily long time to blow it down. Blowing down boilers though is very important because you blow away some of the lime scale and impurities from the water. If you don't blow down the boiler, then after a period of time the impurities in the water form into a kind of silt which can actually block the gap between the outer and inner firebox, which is not what you want. Believe it or not, it took about 15 minutes to blow down the boiler. Yes, 15 minutes, that's what I thought. Most of this video has been very heavily edited, and here you see the very last bit of steam coming out of the blowdown valve. And that's it for today. Stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the run. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.